We are very delighted to have the gracious presence of Dr. Mashiur, Advisor to the Prime Minister, Economic Affairs, Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. The chair of this session needs no introduction, as he is someone whose achievements and glory is known to all of us. He is none other than Professor Sobhan. We are also privileged to have a distinguished panel. We have Professor Siddiqui, Department of Political Science, University of Dhaka. We have Professor Imtiaz, Ahmed, Department of International Relations, University of Dhaka. We have Barrister Sara, Hossain, lawyer, Supreme Court of Bangladesh, and partner, Dr. Kamal, Hossain and Associates. We have Professor Ahmed, Professor, Department of Economics, Jahangirnagar University. And we have Dr. Hossain Rahman, Executive Chairman, Power and Participation Research Center, PPRC, as distinguished panelists for this session. Now I would like to request Honorable Chair, Professor Sobhan sir, to conduct the session. Sir.
Hello, welcome all. Now the session is quite an interesting one because it has a somewhat eclectic subject matter, and it has a plethora of exceptionally talented and qualified speakers to in fact handle these subjects. Now, I'm not quite sure how the whole fabric is going to be woven together, or whether that is going to devolve on me right at the end. But I guess for the moment, let each of you get on with what you have to say, and then we will then sort of see what the mosaic looks like at the end. So now, sequencing wise, let's see now. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now, the two opening themes were need to rethink migration policy, then female migration, migrant rights, Spectre, return, mass migration. Now, of course, here Tasneem Siddiqui is self-selected in terms of initiating the discussion on that. But we'll really take it from there, because looking around here, I get the impression that each of them can speak on each of the themes, because they've been put over there. So essentially, it's a sort of, I am in fact actually given plenty of options before me. How much time are we to give them? Okay. Takes about 10 minutes each. Okay, Tasneem, go ahead.
I think it's working. Thank you very much for providing me this opportunity to share my ideas on what are the difficult issues, difficult questions in respect to migration. I would like to raise three issues straight away when I'm thinking about transforming ourselves into from LDC to a middle-income country in a proper sort of stride. So three areas which I would like to look at is, first is, in the context of labor migration, I think the most important area that within Bangladesh needs to be tackled is the issue of grassroots recruitment of women and as well as male migrant workers. Three types of functions are required to recruit, but what is interesting that two functions are formal and the third group of functions are completely informal. And informality prevails in such a way that although government is coming up with a lot of laws, policies, developing institutions, it is not resulting in streamlining labor recruitment. So if we want to benefit from labor migration the way the country as well as labor migrants, their families used to benefit earlier, then this whole recruitment process where we have our control, Like when it is issue of labor receiving countries, the set of issues are different. But when it is in our hand, I think those areas there are still not to be done, particularly if we talk about recruitment and the whole informality in recruitment. So informality in recruitment, what we are saying in popular parlance, the role of dalals. Usually we look at dalals as they are the source of all evil in migration. Anything goes wrong, we say dalals are to be blamed. So the difficult question that we studied recently, we have studied in Tangai 5,400 households, and we saw that 40% of the households are migrant households, and of those 40% households, 19% could not go abroad even after paying on an average 195,000 taka, Bangladeshi taka. So that is, if we put it into national scenario, it comes into 2,700 crore national loss actually borne by the labor unsuccessful or failed labor migrants. And this is a huge cost we don't count when we think of the 15 billion that is coming. So these are the families who are bearing this cost, bearing this cost. So what the difficult question is that how about regularizing the functions of dalals? Dalals, earlier we used to think that they only recruit. They connect with migrant workers, with the recruiting agencies or government. But in reality, this study found that none of the function is possible without the help of dalals. So what are these functions? Taking money. It's taken by the dalals from the migrants. Migrant wouldn't pay to recruiting agency who is staying quite far and not really, they don't trust them. So there is a trust between dalal and migrants which allow this whole payment transaction to take place. And all the problems usually we put on dalals, maybe many of it is related with corruption of government functionaries, at the same time recruiting agencies, as well as there are other parts in the countries of destination that I'm not bringing here, because here we are discussing what is the critical issues, particularly in the context of Bangladesh. Of course, the other one, if I want to bring that, will bring a new, different issue. So this is where what we are saying, that they cannot, like even connecting with recruiting agencies, going for government registration, taking clearance from government, everywhere you are dependent on that. Because there is no one in the rural areas to provide information or anything. Recruiting agencies don't have office in the rural areas. So what happens without the dalals? This whole migration will go down. Now dalals are asking that we provide certain assets if you want to create the whole situation transparent. So this comes into first point that I wanted to make. And this is critical because when we talk about regularization of dalal, it brings in all kinds of challenges, because the law and everything we have, 2013 law, just, legally there is no place of dalals. So second issue I wanted to discuss is the inhuman and degrading work condition and of female migrants, and ultimately untimely return of the female migrants. It is true since 1999, after research, we have asked government, advocated with government for lifting the ban from female migration, and in 2003 government did lift the ban, because we could see that trafficking, since government to government, without negotiation, whatever migration was taking place, that was actually trafficking was the only route for female migration. And if you think of the voice of female in 1999, they were saying, you people, you are all rich, you want to be richer, and you have imposed sort of restriction or ban on us. So who gave you the authority to stop us from migrating or to stop us from being rich like you? So that was the level of argument, and I would say it has changed. It has even further kind of from desperate situation you can call, and also from empowering situation, women would like to take the challenges. But while taking these challenges, because of bilateral treaties are not working that way, whatever conditions and others are imposed through MOU and everything, but in reality, within the domestic sphere of the home, none of the conditions and terms are actually honored by those who are employing Bangladeshi women. 95% of them are domestic workers. Less than 5% are working in manufacturing and other industries. And where they are mostly going to Middle Eastern countries, and Saudi Arabia, 73% going to Saudi Arabia. And if we think about the institutions of democracy, rule of law, and also the whole culture of respect to workers, it's all absent in that country. And even when earlier stages, when women migrants used to be recruited only in the urban areas, then situation was a little better. Now 120,000 each year migrating to Middle Eastern countries, and 73% of that in Saudi Arabia, and they are going into distant areas where the Bedouin lifestyle is still there. No? They are not honoring, they are not used to honoring work ethics, work conditions and others, and treating female migrants as their slaves. So in such a slave-like condition, we don't want our females to be sexually or abused, physically tortured. And we saw last year 800 of them untimely return of female migrants, and many of them actually tortured by the women of the household. Although we always think of perpetrator as men, but in female migrants' case, torture and other things are mostly done by female household sort of heads and ladies. And the type of torture, you can see signs, you can see, burn and everything in women's body. And sexual harassment, of course, is a thing, but then I would say sexual harassment is much less compared to other form of, tortures and inhuman treatment takes place on women. So what I would like to argue that we cannot stop female from migrating, because that will, again, it is against her right, against the whole right that Constitution has given her, and also the globalization has created the space for her. But the bilateral negotiations are not functioning properly, then the difficult question is using the multilateral forums. And in case of multilateral forums, I think Bangladesh is yet to sign the ILO Convention on Domestic Workers. I don't know why, because we are sending all our women as domestic workers, but we are not signing it, because we are thinking that we might have to apply that in the context of Bangladesh. I think this is a double standard from which we must come out, and the right of female domestic workers should also be appreciated. So what I'm saying, both cases, I would like to argue from the point of SDG, and then as implementation of SDG 8 is, decent work for all. So recruitment, streamlining that, female migration, all. Without achieving these things, you cannot achieve SDG 8, you cannot achieve SDG 5. Now, the last point that I would like to make is in the respect of climate change related migration. This is a completely different scenario, and it is, I think, important in our future context of discussion of migration. That's why I would like to broach this issue. This is like, for so long in the Bangladeshi context of climate change, migration has been treated as a threat, that climate change will, such and such number of people will migrate, they will go to India, they will go to other countries, they will come to Dhaka, Dhaka will be a total slum, so this is a threat. But this actually, overlook the whole issue of rights of those who have been affected by climate change, who have lost their land, who have lost their homestead. So those people, instead of looking at them as from a right perspective, we looked at migration from a threat perspective, because in global negotiation, we would like to talk about compensation and loss and damage. So that is the road we are walking. But when you think what we are saying, the research that we recently published on accommodating migration as one of the adaptation tool of climate change. And we found that migration is multi-causal. Global scenario, there is all these researches coming up that, migration is not related to climate change. Because none of the people would say that I have moved for climate change. They would say I have moved for economic reasons. But you go beyond economic reason, you will find the loss of land, loss of homestead, loss of river erosion, then